and welcome to Two Tired Teachers.
Today we want to talk to you about getting around the great state of Texas.
The largest of the lower 48, and we have lived in Texas our entire lives. And so we like to think that we know a little something about getting around the state.
Yes.
And we've been RVing in the state for the last 4.5, 5 years.
Yeah.
And so we want to share with you some of the ways that we have found to make it as stress-free as possible.
One of those ways is to avoid the larger cities when possible. It isn't always possible.
If you're staying in one of the larger, there are some state parks, Corps of Engineer parks that are actually like in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, well, around all major cities, we'll just say that. But I know that in a lot of states, you can say, if I hit downtown off-peak hours, I'll just sail through.
Nope.
That is not the case, and I mean, I worked as an interpreter in Dallas area for a number of years, and I would finish at like 9 o'clock at night. That's when they shut down parts of the freeway to do construction, is when that rush hour's not there. And so you can still be stopped sitting in traffic at 9 o'clock at night.
I had day surgery one time scheduled early, and we were on the road, 35 North, between 4:30 and 5, and it was still crowded and stop and go.
And when we stayed at McKinney Falls one time, that was because I was in a workshop at the Texas School for the Deaf, and it ended at 9 o'clock at night, and going from the school to McKinney Falls campground, I was stopped in traffic on 35 in Austin.
The point is, those major cities, the traffic is not going to just disappear at off hours.
And so our second point then, and this may sound counterintuitive, but is to avoid the interstates when possible. Texas has a lot of road less traveled that are awesome roads.
Yes.
The speed limit's going to be, well, coming to the little park we're at now, we didn't hit any interstates, but we were on a number of roads where it was 75 miles an hour. We're not going to tow that fast. But an example, this is our first trip post-quarantine for COVID-19, and the trip we took right before was going into Monahans Sand Hill State Park.
Yes.
The big city we went through was Midland. Now, or was
Odessa.
it? In Odessa.
We went through both.
Now, if you're not from Texas, you may say, where? Exactly. And yet, that interstate, we were stopped in traffic some.
Yes.
And the park host there told us, oh, that's nothing. The traffic's thinned out so much because of COVID-19 that usually you're stopped there for hours. We can tell, once again, horror stories of construction or accidents.
Yes.
All it takes is one accident to stop traffic on any interstate in Texas for hours. And so we avoid the interstates when possible.
What we like to do is travel farm to market roads a lot. We travel older highways. There are some pros and cons, and we want to tell you the cons. The pros, I think, outweigh them, but if you're on an FM highway, you may get behind a truck that's hauling hay, a lot of hay. They always pull over when they get a chance and let traffic go by, but you may be slowed down for 5-10 miles.
Okay, let's usually not quite that far, but let us talk to you about a couple of ways that we navigate not on the interstates, because if you go to Google Maps, you put something into your GPS, odds are pretty good that it's going to recommend the interstate. And our personal experience is they're going to tell you, let's say they're going to tell you it's going to take you 3 hours to get to your destination. The route we put in, they may show it's going to take the same amount of time. It's just that they think you want to go interstates. Or they may say it's going to take longer. Our experience is we actually get there faster going the smaller roads. 2 things you're going to need other than your GPS. One is a Texas map. Now, I folded this to the particular section that we are going to be navigating today.
Yes.
But I want to show you a visual to help you understand how huge a Texas state map is. And you don't want the person in the passenger seat unfolding and folding that a lot.
It will kill any chance you have of that right-hand mirror,
Yeah.
passenger mirror, because the map will be huge. And
We like the map because it's going to show detailed roads, but the other resource that we use, and we use a lot,
we carry in the van with us all the time.
and actually what we do is we have, this is a 2019 Atlas. This is a 2019 Atlas, and the older version, which is like a couple of years older, we keep in the RV so that we have one in there with us if we're traveling somewhere. We carry an Atlas. And one of the things that we really like about this is we can open this up, see half of the state at a glance. Texas still takes up 2 pages
Yes.
in the Atlas, but still it's doable, it's manageable.
Takes up more than 2.
And,
'Cause-
well, I meant
Yes.
open pages. But the other thing that's really cool about this, and one of the things we really like, is when we're traveling those roads less traveled, there are a lot of picnic areas. And
On the interstate, you'll get rest areas. On some of these roads, you'll occasionally find a rest area, but we like stopping at the picnic areas.
this Atlas, I'm going to show you a picture here. It not only shows you where those picnic areas are, it shows you which side of the road they're on. And it's really kind of neat when you're looking at this Atlas and planning your trip. You can say, oh, well, if we make it there, that'll be around lunchtime or whatever.
A word of caution, before you pull into one of the picnic areas, make sure that it has a loop so that you're not having to back onto that little farm to market road or whatever. You want to be sure it loops through.
Yeah, usually I try to, if possible, wait and go in actually the exit, or if it's on the opposite side especially, so that I'm sure there are 2. But anyway, yeah, you do want to do that. But we have had some of the neatest picnic areas.
And an interesting thing about the picnics, it has occasionally been warm, and we're talking about picnics in August when the temperature's
In
easily
Texas.
100. But it's been warm occasionally. Usually it's very comfortable because of the shelters over them. And
Yeah, usually the picnic table is going to have a cover over it. It's going to be out. It's not near the major areas, and so there's usually a breeze because Texas is pretty flat in most areas. And so we have really enjoyed that. But the other thing is, if you're not a picnicker, as you're going through, yes, you're going to be going through some small towns, but we've seen places in Texas we'd never seen before because we've had our RV and avoiding those interstates. You'll know when you come to one of those small towns, and there is a place, I'm just going to say there's a place in Stephenville. We haven't stopped there yet, but we've come through Stephenville a number of times, and there is a corner where we have to stop. There is a barbecue place there, and from 11 o'clock even up until like 2:30, that parking lot is almost full. And from 2:30 till about 4, there are a number of cars there, and then it gets really full again. Well, I'm pretty sure their food's pretty good. You can tell that. And so you're going to find the non-chain restaurants. You will find some mom and pop places. You're going to find some kind of hidden gems that you wouldn't find otherwise.
if you just have to have a Mickey D's burger and fries, you're going to find a lot of those too.
Road less traveled, you're going to find a lot of Dairy Queens, I'll tell you. And another advantage to the road less traveled is if you're a person that just wants to pull over at a Walmart or something for overnight, you're not going to have nearly the traffic noise on the road less traveled as you will those that are nearer the interstates or in larger cities. And also a number of these picnic areas, I'm not speaking for the state of Texas, but you might check Campendium to find out. But some of these just pull over picnic areas, etc., will allow overnight stays. And so we have found that to make it a lot less stressful for us traveling that way. And like I said, when we have to get on the interstates, we do. I mean, I don't mind towing on interstates. It's not the fastest way, and it's always more crowded.
And we wanted to mention, particularly, I think, well, anyone, but if you're traveling and have a problem, if you're on the road less traveled, I dare say somebody will stop and offer to help.
An experience. We're just going to go on and tell you another story here, and that is we had, when we were kind of looking for where we might relocate, we were on a small farm to market road, and as we were driving, we saw that the truck in front of us had pickup truck had a blowout. And so we of course slowed down immediately and watched the man handle it brilliantly, got over to the side of the road, and because our cell service had been really sketchy, we pulled over and made sure that he and his wife were all right, that they did have cell service, that they were gonna, we offered actually even to take them into the town if they needed that. No, he was of course shaken up and walking around checking out his truck and stuff. While we're stopped, the next vehicle coming down the farm to market road, another pickup, pulls over to make sure that everything's okay, that everybody's okay. We got home from that little trip, and during Sunday school class the next Sunday, I was sharing, that this guy had this blowout, and we were just so thankful that had a safe trip and everything. One of the ladies in the class had a daughter who was extremely pregnant. She was over 7 months, and she and her husband were in the Metroplex on a highway.
One of the interstates,
and had car trouble. They had pulled over at the side, had gotten out. Both of them, this one woman that's very pregnant and her husband, gotten out, called for help, and were standing at the side of the interstate for an hour waiting for the auto club to show up, and not one person stopped to help. And so, it may sound bad, but there really are a lot of good old boys left in Texas, and they're going to do what they can to help you. And so, like I said, we've traveled extensively, and we have found this is just a little slower pace, and if that's your goal, going through the little towns, yes, you may have. Some of them you're not, if they show up on the map, some of them you're going to slow down sometimes to 50, sometimes to 40 miles an hour, and then just speed back up, and that was the town. There will be others where there may be several lights.
Yes.
Where you actually do have to stop. Or a stop signs, where you actually have to stop.
We don't mind that.
We don't mind that, and like we said, we actually end up getting to our destination faster, more relaxed. And have enjoyed getting a feel for the people that actually live in the area that we're going through. So these are not rocket science, but it's based on our personal experience and
as native Texans
and people who do RV a lot in the state. And then some of the locations, if you're like us, some of the locations you're going to be going to, you're going to have to get on that road less traveled to reach your destination. But we love RVing, we love Texas, and we hope that perhaps, even if you're not traveling in Texas, seriously, this atlas showing where those picnic areas are, we use that.
It was worth the price of the atlas for that alone.
We use that, and we have really enjoyed it. And, if you've got the RV, you've got your restroom, you can wash your hands, etc., fix your lunch while you're there. But anyway, we love traveling in Texas, and we're going to be doing a little bit more of that here in just a little bit. Thanks for watching
Two Tired Teachers.